Service Alliance community, how y'all doing today? And before we even got out of the pre-roll, there's Rob with the long good morning. I'm waiting until someone actually gets it to go all the way across the screen.
He's close.
He's getting there. He's getting there. How are you this morning, Shayna?
I am doing fantabulous.
Got your blue background going on. We're all blue today. Blue Abadi Abu Dai. Morning, Adam. How you doing, buddy? We are continuing on with the law of empowerment, and today is story time with Zach and Shayna. If you didn't catch that ahead of time, we've been around the block. We've followed and violated the law of empowerment many times.
I think I've been around the country.
Yeah. Me too.
I've been at this long enough. I could have walked the entire country.
It's true.
It is true.
And back. And back. Mm-hmm. He's sitting in the same room. This is funny. He's sitting in the same room as Shayna right now. He's off in oblivion, causing trouble.
Right there.
Jason Sherwin saying hello.
Here he comes.
The little floating head. Welcome to the ADHD show. I'm your host, Zach, and alongside of me is Shayna.
Shayna.
You haven't been along for this. That's kind of how this goes. But yeah, we're talking about how we've used, how we violated, how we struggled with, just sharing some stories from our own experience, and hopefully it helps you either make the move in the right direction, realize where you can improve, or know that you're not alone. Just be reminded that we're all on this journey together, right?
Yeah.
Again, shout out to my buddy Steve Morrison, Tech Circuit. I love this coffee cup.
It's blue, so I like it.
I'm a sucker for a good coffee cup. If you want to know listen, I'll wear anyone's hat. I'll wear anyone's shirt. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You send me swag, I'll do it. The way to my heart, though, is a good Yeti cup because I'm always traveling and I'm always drinking coffee.
I bet your wife loves you.
Uh,
With all your
y-
Yeti cups and coffee cups.
she has just as many. She actually, she has more regular coffee cups than I do. I pretty much ditched all the regular coffee cups. I got the two Star Wars ones that she got me that are like ginormous, and I have the Tech Circuit one now. That's it. And then everything else is Yeti. I got two of the 20 ounce, and I got two of the whatever 30 or 32 ounce giant Yeti ones. Good morning, Sal. It is story time. It is story time. It is gonna be good. Do you want to pray us in, Shayna? Floating husband in the background. It's so funny.
I'm going to have to figure out a different spot for my desk. Anyway. Sure.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Okay. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this beautiful Thursday. I am so glad that we woke up alive and with breath in our lungs, Father. I give you the praise and the glory for everything that you've done for us. As we finish out this week, Father, I pray that you just fill us full of blessings and great things. And as Zach and I talk today, just Father, give us the words that you would like for us to say. And let all of us have a great day. Amen.
Amen. All right. So it is the only way he can get out of the office. He's trapped any other way.
He could crawl through the window in the foyer.
I almost would pay
I'm gonna
to
put
see
some.
that.
I could build some stairs. I'll do that today. I'll build him some stairs to crawl up.
Because it's gonna end up like the mime thing, Shayna. You know it. He's just gonna be walking in the back of your videos. I've known Jason long enough to know that that's what's gonna happen.
Now, the quicker the heating air guy shows up and moves that unit so I can build a new foyer, the quicker
Yeah.
I can tear down this wall.
You're almost done with your build out over there at
He,
myofficehelp.com.
he wants to know how much you will pay. Yeah.
Maybe a penny. I don't know.
A penny. He's thinking about it, actually. Anyway.
I'm not going to read this whole thing. Matthew 23 to 18. It's 15 verses. I am going to hit the highlights, though. Because here we have King Herod, who, man, this guy's a major violator of the law of empowerment. He failed to empower anyone. In fact, he spent more time stealing power, strangling, just like a terrible leader. Terrible leader. I wouldn't call him a leader. I'd call him a dictator. So let's hit the highlights of him. He felt disturbed and threatened with the coming king. That's verse 3. He leveraged his power against any competitors. That's going to be verse 4. He used people to serve his own purposes. Verse 7 and 8. Is this sounding like any leaders you know? He lied in order to protect his image. Mm-hmm. He reacted with fury when he didn't get his way. Oh, that goes past. Yeah, that's verse 16. There we go. He concerned himself only with his own benefit. He sought to destroy any potential threat to his leadership. So let's just go ahead and I'm going to grab one of the verses. Here we go. Verse 16. Herod realized he'd been outwitted by the Magi. He was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and in its vicinity, who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Guy's crazy. Not only did he violate it, he just outright said, I'm destroying everyone. Like,
But have you known people like that before?
oh, yeah.
I have.
Absolutely. That's why he's a perfect example of how not to be a leader at all.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah.
Good morning, Foreman. No, we are not talking politics. Although back in the day, this was politics.
True.
It was.
True.
But it's not. So, story time with Zach and Shayna. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go ahead and go first.
All
I'll let you.
right, all right, all right. So let's start on the negative, and then we'll go to the positive. And maybe we'll each share our violated the law, and then we'll move into how we've embraced the law.
Okay.
So violated the law of empowerment, right? So yesterday in Overbooked, our book study, we were talking. I should call it a book club just to drive Doug nuts with the knitting. But we were talking, and we were talking about overcorrecting. So if you are familiar with driving in a cold climate in the snow, this will make perfect sense to you. You steer one way, and then all of a sudden you lose control, and you steer way the other way. Do the same thing in rain, but it's cooler with snow. Um, I've done that in my own life as a leader, right? So I would be like, okay, hey guys, go ahead, do what you need to do, get it done. It'll be fine. I'm out in the field, I'm working. You guys got the office. Nothing's getting done. Things are getting wrong. Customers are getting missed. And I overcorrect and go the other way. Okay, it's all got to run through me. Holy crap. It is tiring to do that. Like, it's tiring to try and be the only one that everything has to run through. And then things really come off the rails. As off the rails as they were when I was just kind of letting people do whatever.
Yeah.
They went even more off the rails when everything had to run through me. And so, what's the balance? And we kind of talked about that yesterday in Overbooked. And it's policies, procedures, boundaries. Right?
Yeah.
If you are a good leader, you will have some boundaries for your people to be within. Like, hey, we've done it this way. There's certain things that we know work. If we need to make a change, we'll make a change, but we're not going to do it in the heat of battle. We can't do it. We can't change the way. Here's a perfect example. Doug kind of shared this yesterday. We handled water damage claims a very specific way. It's the way we do it. It's the way it works. We make sure the customer gets taken care of. If you have a better way to do it, great. Let's talk about it. Let's work on implementing it, but not while we're in the middle of a water damage claim, right? So that's just one example of like the boundaries. If you begin to give people boundaries, you actually empower them.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of letting it run willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Your turn.
My turn. Okay, so just looking at my office help, we've had 2 specific leaders that have violated this. And I was talking about it yesterday. The first was actually who I started my office help for. She was my only office person with service detectives, and I had a company that begged me to answer his phones. And I was like, you know what? This is a good way to secure your job, because usually come wintertime, Jason's ready to cut cost, and the first thing to cut is my help. And so we got my office help started and started bringing on more clients, and she was considered my second. And she got to where she was violating it. Hers would be more job security, because there's 3 barriers. There's job security, resistance to change, and lack of self-worth. Self-worth would fall in there, but definitely job security. Nobody could talk to her for the first hour of the day, and when you do talk to her, even after that, you better talk very carefully, walk on eggshells around her. She was all about it has to be done my way, but yet she really truly wasn't fully doing her job either. People were afraid of her. That's definitely not allowing your team to have empowerment. When she left, Andy, who she actually did not like him because she thought he was after her job security. Andy stepped up to the plate, and Andy's got 20 years in leadership and comes with an amazing background, and he started implementing things that empowered the team. And I know we talked yesterday because someone mentioned how is it can you oversee them too much? And if you actually have checklists, to-do list, is that not empowering them? But it is still empowering them.
I
Um,
believe it was I believe it was asked, am I micromanaging?
Micromanaging, yes,
Yeah.
yep. So we have found we've gone tried both ways, allowing them to just do their tasks, knowing what they're supposed to do, but do they actually do them? And most of the time they don't. Um,
Yep.
but giving them enough knowledge. Here's the things that have to be done. It's on there. Check it off every single day that you've done it and turn it in. It still gives them enough
Hmm.
that they feel empowered to take care of my clients the way that they need to be taken care of and to take care of their responsibilities the way that they've taken care of. And through that, we've been able to bring up people who have never, ever had any kind of leadership roles before and seeing them grow and advance um, and actually teaching them the right way to be leaders
Mm.
versus the leadership, that the skills that they've had, that they've learned from the fast food restaurants and the gas stations and those types of places that they were at, because really most of us are not taught the right way to be leaders.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, as you shared the story about your former leader, and the reflecting that I've done in my time since, yeah, I can go back and I can point to moments where, you know, people had to walk on eggshells around me. People had to do, like I was not a good leader. I was a terrible leader. I understood the principles of it enough to not follow it on a regular basis. And then you swing the other way, right? When you kind of shared how you began that swing, and you can see where if you empower people, and people who are not necessarily ever been in a role of leadership, or maybe they've been in leadership but not taught the right way, but as soon as you begin to empower people, even if you're doing it through checklists and boundaries and some like structured growth, you begin to see real leaders emerge through that. You're not limiting people, you're not putting them in a box. They're just beginning to understand the rules. And I believe I used the example yesterday of a coach, right? So think, for those of you that like analogies, I'm not as good as at telling parables as Doug is, but bear with me, right? So think of a football field, right? Think of the coach on the football field, the quarterback, the linebacker. You got all these teams are out there, right? It's the coach's responsibility to give the quarterback the plays to run. And on occasion, he'll call an audible and say, hey, run whatever. I don't know football terms, so you're not getting that out of me. But he'll call an audible. He'll say, hey, run this play, right? Um, and so if you think of business in that same way, your team is the quarterback, right? Or your leader within the team is the quarterback. And you've given them a playbook to go by. They have their little wrist strap thing that they can look at, and they can, do the checks as they need to do the checks, and they can make moves and pivots within a boundary, right? But it's your job as the leader of the company. You have the bigger picture. You really know what's going on. And so that's you. You're the coach. You're the ultimate leader. And you can call those audibles, but you've given them the skills, you've given them the boundaries to understand what's going to happen
Yeah.
when those pivots have to happen, if you've done it the right way, right?
Yeah.
And so that's embracing the law of empowerment. You've equipped your team with the resources, the tools, the training, the support. Support is so important in empowerment. People knowing that you're in their corner, that you care about them, even when they're wrong, right? You might have to call someone out for being wrong, but if they understand that you're there and you care about them, even in that moment, then, man, it just opens things up. And so I think about the pastor at my church, right? So we had a previous pastor, and I kind of shared this yesterday. Everything had to run through him, and it was very funneled, and it was very clunky, right? Like it tripped up things happening. New pastor is very much empowering. He embraces the law of empowerment. And he said to me the one day, he says, you had that conversation, just it didn't go as well as it should have. And here's what I saw in that. Just, you know, take that for what it's worth, and you kind of need to make some pivots. I thought about it and went, oh man, yeah, that could have gone a lot better. And I realized what happened. I realized what I did, and I realized where I was wrong. I was able to go back and have a conversation with that individual, make things correct, right? Smooth it over, apologize for my screw up, and then empower them to do their job even better because I was empowered to do my job as a
Yeah.
leader even better. So it's kind of fun when you begin to empower people. You begin to see the light bulb moments. So,
I feel like in all leadership skills, the problem is, and I touched on a little bit, is that we have not been raised with good leadership skills. Very few of us have. And your leadership skills come from not only the jobs you've worked on, but how you were raised even. Um, and did your parents empower you? Did your parents help you become good leaders? And I mentioned yesterday, what would have happened had we, myself or even you, started studying these principles when we first started in the business. Like I came in when I was 18 years old into my dad's business. What if I had done this when I was 18 versus now? How much bigger could our businesses have gotten? How much better could we have been? How much happier could we have been because, we learned how to not only empower our team, but also empower our kids, empower our spouses, empower the people around us,
hmm,
as well as the other leadership skills that now that we've realized our ways and we're trying to learn and trying to improve. It's like, man. So um, I've got my 19-year-old. He's actually just switched to online courses and he's come back to work and to learn from us because he wants to own his own business one day. And I told him, like, you're taking business classes in school, right? And he's like, yeah. And I said, so what do you learn? He goes, nothing. Like, I can tell this is literally only book knowledge. I'm not getting any true knowledge I'm going to be ever to put in place as a business owner. I'm like, come home
hmm,
and come learn. And so that's what he's doing. He now has a desk. As of this week, he has a desk behind me and Andy, and he's our secretary.
awesome.
But he's going to be sitting in on every single one of our leadership meetings. He's going to be sitting on any kind of meeting that possibly happens. He's going to be there, and he's going to be the one right in the middle because we're putting him in as scribe. He's going to learn it, and he's going to be, I'm going to say, forced to read books like this
Love it.
because I know what this can do for you.
That's
And
awesome.
he's going to be one that will just soak it up. So I'm super excited.
That's super awesome. I mean, so and that truly embraces what EJ was talking about. EJ and Doug were talking about on Monday with the four quadrants. There's actually five, but the four quadrants. I do it, and you're alongside of me. You do it, and I'm alongside of you. You do it, and then you finally get to you do it with someone alongside you in the fifth quadrant. And so it's a great way to learn. It's a great way to model growth. It's a great way to learn leadership,
Yeah.
right? And so that's so cool that you get to do that with your son, that you get to embrace that. Um, and it's fun to watch your team grow as well, and how leaders have been raised up and how they almost self-police at this
Yeah.
point, right? Like, you know, you and Andy both empowering the team coming to you when there's an issue, the
Yeah.
team almost taking care of it on their own, like to the extent that they can take care of things, they do. And then when they have to, they come to you and
Yeah.
it gets
Well, I
solved. I
will
love it.
say, so this is our fourth full year in business. We started October 2018. And I'm not saying if, people did. At year two, when people asked me, would you do this again? I told everybody absolutely not.
Hmm.
Like I felt more imprisoned. I mean, I still had that other leader. She left around that time, about year two mark. felt imprisoned by the business. I felt like it just was beating me. I'm
Mm,
in here hours upon hours, but yet I had unhappy clients, unhappy team members. What am I going to do? Um, and of course, we were bleeding. So our service company was feeding us at that point. Um, but I didn't know what to do because I was not, I
mhm.
didn't know how to be an actual true leader. I was still doing the same exact things that I knew when I was 18 because I didn't know any better.
Right.
And then along comes Andy, who starts teaching these things. And then, of course, God starts talking to me too and beating things like this book over the top of my head. Um, and I'm learning and I'm growing. And now, ask me, would you do this again? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just somehow skipping the first 2 years.
Right. Well, we all what see, and that's the part that I want people to hear, right? Like Shane and I, when we're saying like, no, I wouldn't do it again. No, not
No.
at all. Like and that's the part that everyone wants to skip over, and unfortunately, to an extent, it is the part that you have to grow through, and I do mean grow through, right? Like
Because if you
sometimes,
don't, if you
yeah,
don't grow, you're just gonna
mm-hmm,
either stay exactly where you're at, which is what we've done with our other business, despite it being I'm third generation owner of it. Like we
mm-hmm,
grew it, but we could only take it so far.
right, law of the land.
Or you're going to fail. The amount of businesses that fail in the first 5 years, I know why they failed. I have one
Mm-hmm.
that almost failed it.
Yeah. I
So,
I closed one after 6 years. I was tired because of violating the law of empowerment, right? Like I probably violated more of these laws than I even realize as we go through this and I look back, it's like, oh crap. Yep. Screwed that one up. But looking at this law of empowerment and seeing where I am in leadership with my buddy's flooring company, right? So I, as of last Tuesday, took over operations for a flooring store. Never thought that would be in my vocabulary at all, ever. Um, I can look back and him and I, we've been friends for 10 years, so I've watched what he's gone through as he went through it with his remodeling company, and then they moved into the flooring store. He had the very hands off, yeah, okay, do what you need to do, I'm gonna empower you, but he put no boundaries on anything, which then led to a leader who, like Herod, strangled the crap out of everyone in the business, including him as the owner. Like chased one co-owner away. Entire like he's like, I'm done. I quit. Here, sign the paper. I'm out. Went and started another business. He chased him away. And my buddy is just like so defeated. He's in the spot that you and I were in, right? In those early days, like, I'm done. Like I can't cut it off. I'm
yeah.
out. Peace. That's where he's at now, right? Because he violated the law of empowerment. He didn't put boundaries in place. He didn't empower the right people. He didn't set boundaries on the other people, right? Like it is a teeter totter. The law of empowerment is such a would you agree, disagree? Like the
Yeah.
law of empowerment really is like it's a
What? And like depends on also like, we've talked a lot about the disc profile and where you fall at. So D is very direct, dominant. I is the fun people, which don't always make the best employees. C are the task oriented. Give me the to-do list. Give me the a ticked off list. S are the sensitive, which and caring, and they make, which actually S's are the majority of America. But a lot of how you empower is really you have to truly base it also off of how they are. Like So like with us, we specifically look for the S's because they're sensitive, so they do well on the phones, and the C's where they like to check off the things on their to-do list because there is a lot to do here, and I's can't handle doing as much as my team does. Um, and so we've been able to really truly dial down who we hire and who we get on our team because we know how to get them to do the things that need to be done and how to empower them. Here are your to-do list right here. Check them off every day. Um, and getting the people that are excited about checking off to-dos for us is huge. And I know that, Zach, we've been talking about that as far as filling a role and
Hmm.
how to sort of look for those types of people also to fill the role that you need to have filled too, because you need someone that you can check off that to-do list.
Literally, the same profile that makes for a good CSR for you makes the same profile for a good front office
Hmm.
administrative person for me. Because listen, I've shared, I struggle with ADHD. I sat in this chair yesterday changing passwords and talking to vendors on the phone, and I am not built for the office. This is not me. I get charged up when I'm empowering people, when I'm seeing the light bulb moments, when I'm out there able to work with people and see them succeeding in what they are good at, right? Like orchestrating like a coach.
Yeah.
Um, that lights me up.
Yep.
But when I pass stuff off to people, not not because I can't do it, but because I can't do it. Like there's just literally 10 hours in this chair yesterday. There was not enough time in my day to accomplish the task that I had to accomplish. If I'm passing it off like I need it to get done, and if I have to take it back and do it myself, why am I paying you? Why
But
am I?
you're sitting in a chair all day, Zach. You have nothing to do.
Right. Yeah, no.
We
That,
do nothing sitting at our chairs all day.
right. Like 4 hours of conversations on the phone with software company trying to sort out what the crap that antiquated garbage is doing, and then it still doesn't work. Nope, nothing at all.
Yeah.
But the reality of that is like that's what's necessary to get done, and sometimes it's not fun to do a job. Like, that's just the
Yeah.
reality. And that's what you're saying about the eyes, right? Like those people that fall into that eye profile, like they struggle with that, right?
Yeah.
Um where S and C, they tend to be like, "Oh, cool, you're giving me a checklist. Let's go. Let's get this done. I like this," right?
Yeah.
Um, or they're the ones to create. I believe it's the C's like to create the checklist. I need a C that wants to create the checklist for me because I kind of know what needs to be done, but I'm
If
not
you need it
organized
created, you
enough
need
to.
a super high C so they can create their own checklist.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
Because if you get a C, a lower C, they're going to want the checklist given to them.
Mm-hmm. So I need one of those, and I need one of the S's, and then we're good to go, Shayna.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's it. That's just
Be
it.
humble and lead by example. That is so true. Empowerment sometimes is a razor's edge from too much to not enough. That's why I use the
Yeah.
example of overcorrecting. Like you overcorrect in the snow, guess what?
Well,
You're on your roof.
and
Like
I think, like, okay, so we had something that happened last week. Oh, you do on your. It's like-
all you do is play on your
That's
computer
all
and
we do,
talk on the
Rob.
phone all day. Yep,
Right, really.
100%.
Um, we had a leader who voiced opinions about a decision that we made as a leadership team outside of the leadership team in front
Mm,
of CSRs. And it was an opinion against a decision that everybody in the leadership decided on. And so that was something that happened yesterday. And so still, like, even in that, like, we've empowered her to be a leader, but yet we still have to pull her back in and say, and that's what we had to do yesterday. We're like, that's not what a true leader does.
mm.
um, but even as us, like with me, I don't like confrontation. Like, I'm like, okay, somebody needs to be confronted. Who's taking that? Like, I'm not doing that. um
I'll say it
But
again. Good conflict is good. Bad
bad
conflict
conflict is
is
bad.
bad.
But that's why I have people under me, so I don't
Yes.
have to. I just have to confront Andy, which I just yell at him, so he's okay. And then I make him do everybody else. Anyways, we're both D's, so we can handle yelling. Um, I don't actually yell at him, but anyways, but we had to call her and we had to dial her down and be like,
Mm.
yeah, like we made this as a leadership. She's like, I don't think it's fair. No, we made this as a whole leader. Like, you thought it was okay last week. Like, let's talk about it in here, but not out there in front of new hires and in front of CSRs. And
Here's the reality. If you are a leader and you are airing laundry in front of people, you might need to look in a mirror. You might need to ask yourself some questions. And I speak from experience, knowing that there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and having done it the
yeah,
wrong way. Like, and Shayna's nervously laughing over there because she's done it the wrong way too. If you are a leader and you are airing laundry, look in the mirror, ask yourself some questions, and just start to make some pivots.
and I feel like airing laundry is that's a good analogy. It is. I have seen it being one of the hardest as we bring up these new leaders. It's the hardest to get them to manage.
Mm-hmm.
They're so used to just being able to tell anybody anything whenever,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about with us. It's about, and I would agree. I'm in the same way. Like I get a friend out there, and I've got to just talk to them
Mm-hmm.
about no, and I've had to learn like that's not how that works.
It's
But
it's not because you're trying to hide anything. It's
right,
because there's an appropriate time and place to discuss it.
yep,
Now, if I have a question and I'm struggling with something and it's I can go to Shayna because that's leader to leader. She's a peer. We can process through it because I'm not sitting there. I'm not spreading rumors. I'm going, okay, here's what I am struggling with. Here's what I am trying to accomplish. And here's where I feel like I'm failing in this.
yep,
What, like, am I wrong? Am I right? Do I need a pivot here? Do I need to, it's inward focused.
right.
The thing that young leaders don't always understand is they haven't learned how to make that switch.
Hmm.
So it's very outward focused and they're airing laundry instead of inward focused and okay, how can I improve? How can this process improve? What needs to be learned from this? It's more complaining than anything,
Yeah,
right? And so
yeah.
it the switch can happen, but if you're in that position, begin to work on that because that is one of the most important things that you can learn.
Yep. Joe, 100%.
Yes.
I don't recommend doing it yourself, though. There are plenty of companies out there. I don't know if the Alliance actually promotes any particular.
Ian. I
Okay,
love my buddy
I didn't want to
Ian.
say. I didn't want to say
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Ian is who we use. We pay him a monthly fee for his HR services. We can go to him with any questions that we have. But he is the one. He will take. He has handbooks already, and he will make them work for your state based off of the laws. I
I am not
highly
a
recommend
law
it.
person, and he is one of those guys that lights up when it's
Yep,
like, oh hey,
yep. And
not me. Like
there
that's
are
him. That's
tons.
awesome.
Yeah, there are tons of free of them online, but I do not recommend it because even if you get a free one, you still have to take it to a lawyer.
It has to be
Um,
correct for your
it
state.
has to be correct for your state. And you should, if you have a handbook, you should get it revised a minimum of once every other year because laws change so much that your handbook actually truly goes out of date every single year. So
Hmm.
paying someone to revise that, which if you have Eon on standby, Ian, I don't know, if it's Eon, Ian on standby, he will do that every single year. He'll take your handbook, he'll revise it every single year based off of the laws. So
It's big picture consulting. If you are an all access member, and you head into the background. I believe it's listed under partners. You can find Shayna's company. Excuse me, Shayna's company, my office help back there, with a big discount for using her services, as well
Yeah.
as Ian's company, Big Picture Consulting,
Yep.
a big discount on signing up for his HR services. And let me tell you, it saved my butt more times than I can count. I'm trying to convince my buddy that he needs it. He's resistant, and I'm telling him it's more expensive to not
If
have it.
if you have one employee, you truly need
Yep.
Ian. And there's been times that we're like, this is a stupid issue that we have to deal with, but I have to make sure
Mhm.
I deal with it by the law.
Compliance is a big thing.
And sending him a message, email, or in my case, I don't know. I've known him long enough. I have his cell phone. I don't know if he gives that out typically, but I have it. I can even, send him a text and say, hey, what's the answer to this? Or can we hop on a phone call? And he'll do that for me. So he'll tell us how to address it with the employee legally.
Mm-hmm. It's the best way to do it. It's a
Yeah.
good guy. Good guy.
Because if you do something wrong, it can come back and bite you.
Yes, tenfold. And
Yes.
ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
So.
No.
Well, it's been fun. I feel like I want to hit these two real quick. What letter am I if I have a checklist and a spreadsheet for everything? Checklist and checklist and checklist. I feel like these guys were both high C's, if I remember right.
I'm pretty sure they both were.
Yeah.
Jenny and Rob, I'll double check what your numbers were. I'll have to scroll through our 500 million comments. But I'll find them.
Club.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll send you a message.
All right, guys. That has been Story Time with Zach and Shayna. Violating, succeeding in the law of empowerment. The law of empowerment is a great law. Get out there, love some people well, and we will see y'all again. Peace out, guys.
Bye. Oh, you